Yeah.
And welcome back to the locker room, where the BS stops and the analysis starts. We are your three hosts, Kyle Anderson,
Matt Hirsch,
B. Jones, swag turned all the way up.
and we're talking about the bowl game season. We already covered all the bowl games in part one, all the way up to New Year's Eve. Now, we cover the rest, including the big one at the end, the BCS National Championship. Right now, guys, we're going to start with the first one on New Year's Day. Yes, the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl. I think you deserve a medal for just even saying the name of it. But who else at Nashville, Tennessee? The Vanderbilt Commodores, 8-4, taking on the NC State Wolfpack at 7-5. I'm happy that Vanderbilt is 8-4. However, I really wish they would have gone somewhere besides the Music City Bowl.
you're staying home. You're driving up the street to go to a bowl game.
Yeah. And it takes away the whole bowl experience. Why does Vandy always get stuck in the Music City Bowl?
I guess they figure that they won't bring a lot of people to the other places.
Better than Birmingham?
That is true.
Shots fired.
Now, do we see the? I mean, Vanderbilt probably should win this game. It's NC State. Now, I'm not picking on NC State.
NC State. I'm surprised they even accepted a bowl bid because they fired their head coach.
Yeah.
That is true.
They fired Tom O'Brien.
Which, you're NC State. The hell are you looking for? You
Chuck
fired
Amato?
Chuck Amato. Yeah.
I totally agree. So, how do we think that one's going to go, guys? You think Vanderbilt gets an easy win?
Yeah, I think Vandy wins that.
I think Vandy wins that one.
All right. Now, the next one.
Of course, NC State beat Florida State this year out of nowhere. So
Yeah, but they got ramshacked by Tennessee.
yeah,
Go figure.
No, that is true.
not like Vandy. After you mentioned that,
And then the next game, for all you people that are missing Vern Lundquist and Gary Danielson, the CBS will bring your only bowl game, the Hyundai Sun. Well, that's easy to say. Hyundai Sun Bowl in El Paso, Texas. Hyundai. And then you've got the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets at 6-7, taking on the USC Trojans at 7-5. Another first ever meeting between the two teams.
That's surprising, by the way.
It is.
It kind of
Because
is.
that's a lot of tradition between those two schools.
Too
Too bad they're both terrible this year.
That's what I was saying. Now, do we see this as being, okay, USC should win handily, or is it...
Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm
I'm not a fan of 6 and 7 teams getting into bowl games.
Well, the only reason they got in the bowl game is because they won their division and made it the conference championship game.
I wonder if
But here's the kicker with this: Georgia Tech does not have a defense,
none.
and USC all they have is an offense. So
And they fired Monty Kiffin.
yeah, they didn't fire him; he left.
Same thing.
He said, "I'm tired of working for my son. I want to go back to the NFL."
I'm pretty sure he just said, I'm just tired, and went and took a nap. I
Yeah.
mean,
Son, I've hooked you up enough.
So you said this is Hyundai sponsors this?
Hyundai.
Hyundai.
Is Rodney King going to be there?
What?
You know, that was the car that he was driving before they whooped his ass.
Why don't they play?
Should have got his ass whooped for being
instead of El Paso, they
grown
should
and
play-
driving a Hyundai.
Instead of El Paso, they should play in Santa Fe because they make the Hyundai Santa Fe.
Very true.
Yeah,
yeah.
there you go. Yeah.
How about Montgomery? They make Hyundai.
Yeah, they could play it in the Crampton Bowl.
There you go. Probably have more people show up there than they would in El Paso. So now our next game is the AutoZone Liberty Bowl in Memphis, Tennessee.
By the way, we're trying not to be haters, guys, but there's way too many bowl games. Or at least that's my
There's
opinion.
too damn many.
There's
bowl
too
games.
many, but I will watch them because I like college football.
Well, that's
but
true,
they're-
too. Me, too.
Now you have Iowa State Cyclones at 6-6.
Brandon's not agreeing.
No. Taking on the Tulsa Golden Hurricane at 10-3. And the interesting thing about this is a rematch from the first game of the year between these two teams. But I don't know if anybody's really going to watch
Then why do we
it.
got to play it again?
Yeah. And when did the Liberty Bowl become a New Year's Eve bowl? When the hell did that happen?
You know, but the Liberty Bowl has always been New Year's Eve.
You ready for this? When the Independence Bowl decided not to take SEC teams anymore.
Yeah. But you know what? About that matchup, who's playing again?
Iowa State and Tulsa.
I didn't watch it the first time. Why in the hell
Hell
would I
would I
watch it the second
I
time?
agree with that totally.
Now, this next game coming up...
I mean, honestly, who thought it? You know what? They didn't watch it the first time, but I sincerely believe if they play again, people will watch it.
Exactly. Well, they probably were thinking, hey, the end of the world's coming on December 21st. Thanks to the Mayans, we don't really have to worry about anybody watching.
Whoops.
Lazy ass minds.
Exactly. Now, the last game for New Year's Eve, one that we always watch, Chick-fil-a Bowl. This year, as always, it's in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. Number 14 Clemson Tigers at 10-2, taking on number 8 LSU Tigers at 10-2.
Here's the other thing. I remember when the Independence Bowl was a bigger deal than the Chick-fil-A Bowl. So that's part of it.
You mean the Peach Bowl?
The Peach Bowl.
Yeah.
The Peach Bowl.
Now, this game, do you think people are going to watch it more because, okay, it's LSU and Clemson, or you think more people are going to watch it and go, okay, Clemson, how many points do you give up this year in the bowl game?
And you know what? I like this game. Usually the Chick-fil-A Bowl has some pretty good matchups. So, I like this game. I like it.
Except last year when it was Auburn and Virginia. That was kind of lame.
Yeah, it was.
So this will be a good game. It'll be fun to watch. And it's, a matter of, I don't want to say which LSU team shows up. It's just, will LSU be able to hang with Clemson? Because they have a tendency to try to play to the level of their opponent.
Yeah.
And also, a little fact for everybody, LSU has played 4 bowl games in the state of Georgia and has never lost one ever.
Yeah.
And Clemson is 3-6 all time against SEC schools in the bowl game. And LSU has never lost to an ACC team in a bowl game. And the last time that happened was back in the 50s. If LSU can come in and play like they did against Alabama, they will basically own Clemson. They come in and play like they did against Arkansas, this could be closer than people think.
But, that's the thing. They play to the level of their opponent, like I said, because, they play to the level of the Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M, but it's a matter of do they pull it out at the end or not.
Very true. Now we move on to New Year's
Which,
Day.
by the way, could make that bowl game very interesting and very fun to watch.
Very true. Now, next game, this is the first one, New Year's Day, so when you're waking up from a hangover, you got the TaxSlayer.com Gator Bowl in Jacksonville, Florida. Mississippi State Bulldogs, 8-4, taking on number 20 Northwestern Wildcats at 9-3. Northwestern, 1-10 all time in bowl games, and they're looking for their first win, thinking since the 40s. Do you think they get it, or do you think, nope, Mississippi State's too much?
I think Northwestern has a realistic shot. I'm sorry, but Mississippi State, they're paper champions. You loaded up, you played Jackson State, you played South Alabama, you barely beat Troy. You beat absolutely nobody this year. You loaded up on cupcakes, and when it was time for the rubber to meet the road, you got to hand it to you. I think Northwestern beat Vanderbilt earlier this year. They can beat Mississippi State.
I think it'll be a fun game. Again, it depends on what Mississippi State team shows up. The one that we saw before they played Alabama, or the one that showed up after they played Alabama. It could be close, could be fun. I think that it'll remind you a lot of that bowl game a few years ago between Auburn and Northwestern. Mm-hmm. It'll probably have the same look to it. I like Mississippi State just because it's SEC, but this could be Northwestern's year, and a heck of a job that their coach has done. Pat Fitzgerald, a heck of a job he's done to really make them legitimate, because not only are they 1-10 in bowl games, not really showing up, but they've been competitive in bowl games recently. And they're playing in more than one bowl game every 10 years now. They're going to bowl games consistently. Yeah. And that's a lot to be said for Northwestern.
And that guy's underrated. You gotta love Pat Fitzgerald.
How is he still? I was say how is he still there? But he's a Northwestern alumni. Yeah. So.
And then also this is the same bowl too. That 2 years ago Mississippi State ended up beating Michigan and sent Rich Rodriguez packing, but different team. Northwestern's a lot different, and in my opinion, is a lot better than that Michigan team. So Mississippi State will have their hands full, but I think Mississippi State kind of pulls this one out.
Dan Mullen's underachieved with this Mississippi State team.
What's his signature win this year? Auburn?
Right.
Is that his signature
win? I think so, and it wasn't even really... It was pretty close, too, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Very close. Now the next one, Heart of Dallas Bowl, in the Old Cotton Bowl in Dallas, Texas. It's going to be on ESPNU. That should let you know how important it is. The Purdue Boilermakers at 6-6 taking on Oklahoma State Cowboys at 7-5. This is the second meeting between the schools ever. I don't know if I really would even turn this on.
Doesn't Purdue, didn't they fire their coach?
Yeah, they got a new coach too.
So I think that
Oh,
give it to Oklahoma State and let's not even watch it.
they got the coach from Kent State, but what the hell is the name of this bowl?
The Heart of Dallas.
Who made this up?
This is we want to play at the fairgrounds and not at Jerry World Bowl.
Who cares? This shouldn't even be a bowl game, okay? If you're gonna play the Cotton Bowl, play at the damn Cotton Bowl, okay?
But they play the Cotton Bowl at Jerry World now.
This is so stupid. No, I'm not gonna watch this. I'm not even gonna pick this.
Now we're gonna move on to the next one, a big one, Capital One Bowl in Orlando, Florida. It's gonna be on ABC. Number 7 Georgia Bulldogs at 11-2, taking on number 16 Nebraska Cornhuskers at 10-3. Second meeting between these two schools ever. Get this: the first meeting, 1969, Nebraska beat Georgia 45-6.
Might be payback for 1969.
I agree. I mean, Matt, I'll ask you. You watched the Big 12 championship, or not Big 12, but the Big 10. Wisconsin laid it on Nebraska.
I didn't watch all of it because Wisconsin laid it on Nebraska, and after a while, I turned it off.
Do you think they have recovered from that, or do you think, I don't know, they may never recover from that?
Well, see, I want to look at it the other way. I mean, I hate to throw this out there because I think that Nebraska could possibly recover from that because they wanted to show the world that they're not that bad. I'd be worried about Georgia, not making it, 5 yards away from not making it to the national championship game. And are they going to be able to recover from that?
Brandon?
Damn. Georgia. Georgia could have been the national champion this year.
Right.
They were a tipped pass or even a spike away from being the national champion. When that happens, teams like that tend to have a letdown in the ball game. Y'all remember Alabama and Utah. We remember those games. With that being said, I feel like Georgia can have a letdown and still beat Nebraska.
But then conversely, you look at Florida beating the mess out of Cincinnati in 2009 when, they had a letdown in the SEC championship, and they just, of course, it wasn't really very close.
Yeah, but it wasn't how close Georgia was.
That's true.
Well, in Georgia, too, the thing that they've got to prove to me, like last year, they had Michigan State. And Mark Richt, for whatever reason, does what Mark Richt does, and he let them back in, and Michigan State beat them. Georgia has a history in the bowl games of we either squeak out a win or we lose. It's never we win big and destroy the other team. I don't know why. It's just something about them when they get to bowl games.
Remember that Drew Brees when he played Georgia back in the late 90s down in the, I think it was the Citrus Bowl. And then one year when Georgia played Wisconsin, Citrus Bowl, same site, where games that they had under control that they end up losing.
Georgia fans know how to get to Orlando. That's without a doubt.
Yep.
Definitely true. Now the Outback Bowl in Tampa, Florida at 1 p.m. Number 10 South Carolina Gamecocks taking on number 18 Michigan Wolverines at 8-4.
Conversely, South Carolina fans know how to get to Tampa pretty well, too.
Yeah.
How do you see this one going, Matt? Because you and I talked about how I really thought Michigan was going to probably, if not be in the national championship, maybe in the BCS Bowl.
I thought Michigan was going to be in the national championship game. I thought that was going to be a rematch, if you remember listening from earlier, folks.
Yeah, boy, were you wrong.
Yeah, I was way wrong. At least I got Alabama in there. Who'd you have again, Brandon?
Whatever.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I don't even know, is Shoelace, is he going to play in this game? I know he's had some legal troubles. Recently, he had a suspended driver's license and got arrested because he was still driving with the suspended driver's license.
That's smart.
Yeah, I know, right? South Carolina is, I don't want to say they're underrated. They were a victim of their wins and losses. I mean, they were probably right up there with the upper tier, the upper echelon of the SEC, and they play defense. They play defense. Jadeveon Clowney is fantastic. I think South Carolina will win easily.
Jadeveon Clowney coming back will be the best defensive player in America.
Do you think he'll be a Heisman candidate like he's touting himself to be?
Yeah, he should have been this year. That dude changed games. He changed the way that you ran your offense. When you look at it, he might have gotten the sack, but he changed your play calling. And we can't make 4 and 5 step drops. We got to throw quick.
He kept Georgia from getting a first down and being able to score, which gave their offense the opportunity to really put it on them.
And I'm gonna give you a guy on that defense that people kind of don't notice, DJ Swearinger, safety for South Carolina, amazing. I love watching South Carolina. I think they're going to take this ball game. I look for a big game from. Actually, I look for a big game from DJ Swearinger in this last game in the South Carolina uniform.
And a little interesting fact, we all know Michigan has a very rich history in football. They've been to 41 bowl games. This will be their 36th bowl, New Year's Day bowl.
That's amazing.
That is amazing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know that there's a lot of programs out there that have pretty good. That's impressive. Of 41 bowl game appearances, only 5 were not on New Year's Day.
And this was before there were 58 bowls.
I think that's probably the way you put it, Kyle, probably makes it more impressive. The fact that out of the number of bowls they've been to and out of their rich tradition, there have only been 5 that haven't been on New Year's Day.
I mean, that's just amazing to me. But I really wish they were in this next one, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, the granddaddy of them all. But it's going to be number 6 Stanford Cardinal at 11-2, Pac-12 champs, taking on the Wisconsin Badgers at 8-5, the Big Ten champs. This is what I thought was funny. 6th time these teams are going to play. Wisconsin's never lost. They are 4-0-1. So
that math. Oh, this is the 6th time.
Yeah. But let me ask this, because Matt, you talked about this off air. Could this be the year that Stanford actually beats them because of everything that's going on with Wisconsin?
Absolutely. I think so.
Or do you think Barry Alvarez being on the sidelines will do anything, or is it no? Stanford, I think, is ready for this.
I'm still tripping off Barry Alvarez on the sideline. I feel like deep down he wanted to coach that team. Like, I want back on the sideline. But this is basically a rematch of the 1999 Rose Bowl between Stanford and Wisconsin. Remember Ron Dane and Troy Edwards from Stanford. Hey, we talk about coaches, and you're amazed that they're still in one spot. How about David Shaw at Stanford?
Right. And he's going to be there for a while. He just signed a contract extension.
And he's recruiting well. I really like what he's doing at Stanford. I like Stanford to win this one. And if you've never seen...
Got a big commitment in Barry Sanders Jr.
Yeah. And if you've never seen Stanford play, look at their front 7.
Mm-hmm.
SEC-esque. They can run. They can tackle. SEC-esque.
Which is why they beat teams that you wonder why they beat, like Oregon or USC.
And they score 13 points and do it.
Right. And I think that that's the type of team that can really put it on Wisconsin.
Now, the last New Year's Day Bowl, the Orange Bowl in Sun Life Stadium in Miami, you got the number 15 Northern Illinois Huskies at 12-1, taking on the number 12 Florida State Seminoles at 11-2. Northern Illinois, first MAC team ever to earn a BCS bid. And this will be the 8th time that the Florida State Seminoles have been in the Orange Bowl. They're 3-4 all time.
So, Northern Illinois won the MAC. So I think technically that makes them MAC Daddy. When they show up,
wow.
When they show up,
wow.
In what I do?
Nothing. Just keep going.
You like Mac Daddy? They're Mac Daddy. When they show up at Joe
That's
Robbie,
the next name of a bowl game when another one comes out, by the way, I think.
When they show up at Joe Robbie / pro player / Dolphins / whatever the hell they call
Sun
it
Life
this
now.
week.
Sun Life, it looks like.
Yeah, it'll change in a few weeks, so don't worry about it. Don't get that tattooed on your arm or anything. When they show up, Florida State's going to be the real pimps because they're going to smack Northern Illinois up and down the field. I don't even think this one's going to be close.
This is the worst BCS bowl game, probably, I think. I'm not going to watch it, probably. I hate to say that. I'm not.
I am. I just want to see how bad it's going to get.
No.
I mean, what do you tell the
but
kids?
which Florida State team shows? I mean, Florida State lost to NC State, for crying out loud. This could be
They almost lost
a
to Georgia
decent
Tech.
game, maybe. You know, if I'm the Orange Bowl committee, I'm ticked off. I'm mad because this is the second year in a row where it just won't be good. You know, last year we thought it was going to be good with West Virginia and Clemson, but who's really going to watch this one? I don't think that. You know, I know you'll think that it's interesting, Brandon, but you know, who's really going to watch it? And if I'm, like I said, the Orange Bowl committee, I'm royally upset about the selection.
I think there's a lot of people that agree with both of you guys
Yes.
that this is not going to be a good game to watch, and they're mad that it's even being
You want
played.
to see Florida State versus the Mac Daddy?
No, I don't. Now, January 2nd, the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, Louisiana, in the Superdome. Number 21 Louisville Cardinals, 10-2, one of the Big East champions, and also will be leaving to go to the ACC. Taking on the number 3 Florida Gators at 11-1. First ever meeting between these two schools. And you've got the angle of Charlie Strong, who used to be the defensive coordinator
Right.
in Florida.
This will be a fun game, just, you know, because, you know, I think it'll be interesting. It depends if Louisville's quarterback situation gets a little bit better because, you know, they've had some injury problems here towards the end of the season. But I don't want to say they're evenly matched teams because it's number 3 and number 21, but Florida's kind of got that same deal as LSU. They kind of play the level of their opponent. So,
Hey, Charlie Strong, longtime defensive coordinator at Florida, got looked over for jobs. Finally got his opportunity at Louisville. Other teams came calling. He stayed loyal to Louisville. You gotta like that. And with a guy like that, you can't root against him. I think this is going to be a pretty good game. I think Charlie Strong is going to have his team up, and I think the world's going to get to know Teddy Bridgewater.
if he's not hurt.
Yeah.
That I think the world already knows who he is.
That kid's
He
amazing.
showed how much heart he had in the last
Yeah,
game.
that kid's amazing.
Now, the next game, January 3rd, Tostitos Fiesta Bowl in Glendale, Arizona. Number 5, Kansas State Wildcats at 11-1. Number 4, Oregon Ducks at 11-1. Another first-time meeting between two teams. And we really thought this was going to be the national championship until along came Baylor and along came Stanford.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think, guys? I know we were talking earlier, and you were saying that Kansas State, they're a good team. They just don't have that big splash appeal. Do you really think they can slow down Oregon? Or do you think, no, they're going to get a real first-hand taste on how quick they really are?
Honestly, I think it was the Fiesta Bowl last year. I think it's going to look a lot like the Fiesta Bowl last year, where it was Stanford and Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
I think this one will have a very similar look to it.
I think that this one might look a little bit different. I think Kansas State initially will have Oregon's number, but that team speed, oh man. Do you realize that everyone in Oregon's backfield, whether it's Barner, Thomas, Mariota, run sub 4.4?
Well, they have to because they're trying to get away from the cops.
Wow.
Go on. Hey, look, say whatever you want. They're the ones with the police records.
Going
not
back
me,
to the
okay?
football, the interesting matchup to look here is going to be Oregon's offensive line problems that they had as of late versus the fact that Kansas State actually does kind of have a defense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go on to
By the way,
next-
Oregon's got some NCAA issues now. Who saw that one coming?
But I just have a feeling. I think I like Colin Klein. I like Kansas State, and they really are a really good team. I just have this feeling like Oregon's going to come in and they're going to make Kansas State play their style of football. And when you do that, that's where Oregon's got you.
I think as this month progresses and goes into next month, I think the big storyline is going to be, is Chip Kelly going to bolt for the NFL? I know everybody's talking about Nick Saban, but with NCAA issues and NFL openings starting to happen around the end of the year, the beginning of the year, is Chip Kelly going to bolt?
And we know what's really strange to me? How in the hell is Chip Kelly even considered for the NFL with the type of offense that he runs?
I don't know, but he does. He gets considered.
I've never understood that.
I don't either. Now, the next game, one that I know Brandon's going to be watching, January 4th, the Cotton Bowl Classic, Cowboy Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Number 9, Texas A&M Aggies 10-2, taking on number 11 Oklahoma Sooners 10-2. Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football,
Scooby-Doo.
only second Heisman Trophy winner in school history. And this, I could not believe this when I saw this. Oklahoma is the first team since Florida in 1993 to play all top 3 Heisman finalists. I don't know really which way. I want to give the edge to A&M because I really think they're just clicking. And you called it earlier in the year, Kevin Sumlin, great coach. He's bringing that offense in. Matt even said when we were at the Alabama game, Johnny Manziel proved he was a Heisman Trophy candidate. But is it the situation of this is not the Oklahoma team that we used to know where they had the hard-hitting defense?
Is someone going to miss Cliff Kingsbury?
No.
See, I'm wondering if you will. I wonder if Kingsbury's the brains behind that operation, I guess.
Nah. Trust me, Sumlin's the man.
For what's worth, I think this will be a fun game early, but Texas A&M will really, I think, thump Oklahoma.
Hey, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be close. I think when it all boils down to it, I think that Texas A&M gets them. Gig them.
Now, January 5th, one that we're all going to be watching, the BBVA Compass Bowl in Birmingham, Alabama. Yeah,
who was we?
We meaning me.
Are we French?
No, the royal we. Me, myself, and I.
Oh, okay.
Now, it's going to be the Pittsburgh Panthers at 6-6 taking on the Ole Miss Rebels at 6-6. First ever meeting between these two teams. I know a lot of people will scoff at it because it's the BBVA Compass Bowl, it's 6-6 teams. But I kind of really want to see this one because who really thought Ole Miss was going to get to a bowl game?
They're going to bring some fans to Birmingham. It's not going to be like it's Kentucky or somebody. I mean,
they have already sold a guaranteed 35,000 tickets.
Yeah.
That's probably 34,000 more that show up than a UAB game.
all year. The combined UAB attendance.
So,
Have you seen the UAB attendance for this year?
I didn't know it went that low. I didn't know it got that low.
They had 4 games under 10,000 in attendance. That's horrible.
Something about this game, I guess because Pitt's been here 2 times before, they'll bring a crowd. Ole Miss will bring a crowd. And it just proves if you want a crowd, you've got to get an SEC team.
Well, not to mention, Pittsburgh, they've finally got a little stability, hopefully, because with Paul Chryst, everybody said, well, maybe he'll go back to Wisconsin. He said, no, I'm not going to leave Pittsburgh high and dry like the last
coach,
jerk did.
Jerks
did. So, you got to like it for Pittsburgh. I think that Ole Miss is in their groove, though. I really do. Hugh Freeze.
Or would that be the Grove?
Grove.
Nice.
That's what play there, yeah.
Hey, if you've never seen this Graham kid from Pittsburgh running the ball, watch his game. You'll be in for a treat. But I have to give Hugh Freeze some credit. He has that team playing up. And I'm very, very impressed with an undersized kid that he has playing linebacker by the name of Denzel Kimdichie.
Yes.
He's only about 193 pounds.
His brother is amazing,
knock you in the mouth. Red shirt freshman, undersized linebacker, does it all. Denzel Kimdichie, number 4. Watch him.
A lot of it is talking about Ole Miss being a groove. I think with this game, a lot of it's going to be, does Tino Sinceri get in a groove early, or does Ole Miss rattle him early? And I think that's going to play a key with what happens with this ball game.
Now, the January 6th bowl game in Mobile, Alabama at Lad People Stadium, the GoDaddy.com Bowl. Number 25, Kent State Golden Flashes at 11-2. First bowl game in 40 years. Taking on Arkansas State Red Wolves at 9-3. That's their 3rd bowl in FBS history, but they've never won one.
Can we call this the Orphan Bowl?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, and that's what's so funny. You have 2 teams that both have interim coaches that are coming in to do this. I just don't. I'm glad for Arkansas State because they had a good year, and especially Kent State. Yep. But you got to feel bad for them. They were so close to getting to a BCS bowl.
Yeah.
But
maybe Kent State could get some alumni to coach. I wouldn't say Nick Saban. He'll be busy.
Gary Pinkel.
Gary Pinkel.
Yeah.
Lou Holtz.
I don't know if I want to. If you do, you'd have to take a shower after he gave you the speech. So
you know what Lou Holtz said?
That's how they filled up Mobile Bay with Lou Holtz's spittle.
Playing at University of Alabama for you is tricky. It's like going into the tunnel of love Everyone scores, but you come out all itchy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And segueing into our last game, the BCS National Championship game in Miami, Florida, the number 1 Notre Dame Fighting Irish, undefeated 12-0, taking on the number 2 Alabama Crimson Tide, SEC champs at 12-1. Notre Dame's first undefeated season since 1988, and this is the 3rd BCS championship in 4 years for Alabama. And this is funny, there's only one BCS Bowl Alabama has not played a national championship game in.
No, they played in the Rose Bowl.
Orange.
Fiesta.
No, this one,
Fiesta.
it's the Fiesta.
Yeah.
And if they didn't screw up against LSU and South Carolina and Auburn, we maybe could have saw them play against Oregon. Where do you see this one going, guys? Do you think a lot of people feel like, oh, Notre Dame's luck's going to run out, they're running into a real team? Or do you think, hey, look, Notre Dame's got a good defense, but is Alabama's running game too much for them?
Matthew?
Again, biased opinion, I'll be one of the first to say it. I do feel pretty confident for Alabama in this football game just because the level of play is higher. It really is. I think it's one of those that Notre Dame will play pretty close for the first half, possibly. But adrenaline and all of that can only take you so far. And you look at this, I know the strength of schedules, a lot of you out there will go and look and say, well, it's really close, but it's not. Come on, people. Let's be honest. Notre Dame should have lost to Pittsburgh, and Alabama's loss to Texas A&M is not that bad in the scheme of things. I think the SEC was much better than a lot of people gave it credit for this year early on. And I think, again, just the level of play and what Alabama had to go through, they've been through the fire, and I think that they'll beat Notre Dame.
Dynasty. First thing comes to mind. Think about Florida State in the late 90s, early 2000s. Think about when Miami had it rolling, or even when Tom Osborne had Nebraska rolling. That's what you're seeing with Alabama right now. Nick Saban has those guys rolling. Winning a championship is a birthright. But they got to come to play. I think it's going to be a hard-hitting, hard-fought ball game. But I think at the end of the day, Alabama takes the win. So I'm going with the Crimson Tide. Headgear going, yo.
And I will say that I think that Alabama will win. I think that it will be probably by at least 17 points. Like Notre Dame, don't have a problem with them. But I think they have not faced a very physical team like Alabama. And Alabama has been playing like a machine. Even when they mess up, they don't let it rattle and they just find a way to win.
I think that, third quarter Alabama will come out and punch them in the mouth and then probably coast in the fourth quarter.
Now, real quickly, who would you pick as your coach of the year? The AP picked Brian Kelly from Notre Dame. What do you think, Matt? If there's one coach you could think of, would it be anybody else, or would you say, no, the AP got it right, Brian Kelly deserves to be coach of the year?
I really think Kevin Sumlin. I really do.
Brandon?
I would have to look up to Happy Valley.
That's my other one. I wanted to say either coach up at Penn State or Texas A&M.
I think you look at what transpired in the offseason, the guys transferring out, the scholarship reductions that really hadn't hit them yet. I don't feel like there's a way that you can look at the job that he's done at Penn State and not give it to him.
I would agree. Well, guys, it's been a great show. We're going to leave tonight, as we all know, terrible tragedy that happened last Friday in Newtown, Connecticut. 28 people lost their life. Really horrible. Brandon and I had talked about this earlier in the week. We feel it's only fitting to basically say our thoughts and prayers and go out to everybody affected by this, especially the families. We will get through this, and we're still trying to figure out what happened. But more importantly, just all you can do is pray and go out and do the right thing. Guys, is there anything you want to add?
My thoughts and prayers are definitely with the community and the families in Newtown. And trust me, this nation mourns with you. Keep your head up.
Absolutely, I'd agree with that, and everybody just remember that community, and especially the parents. Remember them in your thoughts, and most definitely your prayers, because it's hard going home seeing an empty bed at night. I have no doubt.